Cool.
So
man.
I'm right here with Slab City Jack from Slab City. Thank you for allowing me to interview you.
Yeah, no problem, man.
So I have a few questions from YouTube. There's
Oh.
some people that have asked questions.
Oh, really?
about you. Yeah, because I posted a live yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Letting the people know, letting my subscribers know that I was going to come here and talk to you.
Got it.
So I asked him to give me some questions. So I have a few of those.
Sure.
And then I wrote a few of my own questions, right? So let's go ahead and begin with the basic questions, right? So how long have you been here?
I have been in Slab City for 10 years. In January 3rd of 2022, I will begin my 11th year in Slab City.
Okay. That's already a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you like it so far?
Well, I would have left if I didn't really like it. But where I came from, I would never go back to, you know. So I came here as an experiment. I didn't come here to live. I'll tell you that right now. I didn't decide I'm going to come down here and live in this desert with no running water or power lines. I was always interested in off-grid life, you know, for a long time, living on solar panels and whatnot. And then I was living in San Francisco, a very expensive city, and I'd lost one of my main jobs that paid my bills. I had some other jobs that didn't really pay my bills. They just bought my weed and my restaurant food and whatnot. So when I lost my main gig, I normally just throw my resume out there and I get another job right away. No problem. I was in property management. I managed apartment buildings. And I didn't quite look like this. And I found this place on the internet. I thought, wow, look at these crazy people. And there wasn't a lot of content on YouTube about Slab City. Just a few videos here and there. Looked interesting enough. I lost my job. They live in little travel trailers. I thought, well, instead of getting a job, I'm going to go down here and hang out with these people, basically. So on Craigslist, I found a trailer. I did it quick. So I found Slab City Christmas Eve. And January 1st, I had bought a trailer. January 3rd, I was sitting here in it. I had to move before I talked myself out of it. Because if I would have sat in San Francisco in my apartment and really thought this through, I would have never came here. I get wild ideas, you know, and I need to act on them quick. Because like most people, I'll talk myself out of doing the crazy stuff, right? And so this was a crazy thing to do. My friends and family thought, you're going to go live in the desert just above Mexico with no running water? I mean, really, what are you doing, Jack? Like, have you lost your mind? And I gave everything away. I gave everything away in my apartment except my books and my clothes and my cat. Came down here, was having fun. First summer was brutal, but I got through it. And then when the second season started, I was just having too much fun to go home. And the idea of being able to do what you want, right? And no rent. Okay, people need to understand this. When you have the weight lifted off of you of having to come up with X amount of dollars every 30 days just to exist, right? Just to keep the water line at your neck. In San Francisco, rent was high. Power bills were high. Food was high. It was expensive. When I didn't have to worry about that. There's no landlord out here. I don't have to give anybody any money every 30 days just to live. This is a RV. It's a tiny house, but I own it. So I own my own home. No mortgage. Sitting on land that I pay no property taxes on. The sun never sends me a power bill. I got 2,000 watts of power. You know, I run an air conditioner, swamp cooler, refrigerator, freezer, lights, my phone, my internet. I have everything I had in San Francisco, and it's free.
Or now that you mentioned about having to pay bills every 30 days, where does that come from? That whole idea of having to come up with rent money,
I think
utility monies every 30 days. Like, who made it? I mean, I've never really thought about that.
I believe that was when people decided that you could actually own property. When you could take a piece of this planet and say, I own this. and you want to be on
The-
it, you're going to pay me.
The right to property, that's like a fundamental belief system of the United States, right? The right to own property. That's like
yeah.
part
And
of the
I do believe
that's a
in
part
that
of
right.
that's a part of the American dream.
And I do believe in that right. You know,
Yeah.
I don't blame someone for buying a block of property in a city and building a building and charging people to live in it. You know, it's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, in some cities, you can't really afford. If you want to live there, it's going to take 70% of your income. And I mean, what kind of life are you having if you're just grinding it out to give all your money to somebody for the roof over your head? It doesn't seem it doesn't seem worth. And I'm 61 years old, so I can look back at this now and say it's not worth it. I'm telling you guys right now, climbing the corporate ladder, you know, trying to accumulate all these consumer goods that they're telling you gotta have. It's gonna make your life great. You don't need it. You're better off without it. You really are. You don't need half the shit you got. I know people that's got stuff, they don't need that crap. They spend a lot of money on it. They spend a lot of money to upkeep it.
And people would do. Some people are willing to go to some crazy lengths to accumulate, to get things.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're willing to backstab family.
Oh yeah.
They're willing to betray friends.
Yeah.
Just
be
to
evil. Yeah, there's evil, you know. I mean, just think about people that want fame. They want the fame and the fortune. You got to practically make a deal with the devil. You know, you got to deal with Satan if you want all that. You want $20 million to make a movie. I mean, those people in Hollywood, those egotistical bastards that, you know, want to be super famous and super rich. Well, you know, they're making deals with the devil. You know, they're all, you know, they're dabbling in Satanism to get all that. So that's not worth it, you know. And then the lower levels, like you said, just people stabbing, you know, especially corporate ladder, right? And you get a job, and you get up in a position, you get yourself your corner office, you can't relax because there's people underneath you that want to take your head off and get that office. So you got to be, you know, always on your game.
Mm-hmm.
What a vicious fucking thing that is. How is it? Can you imagine living like that? Like every day.
Yeah. But
never relaxing, man.
I think it's like that everywhere. Even I remember the jobs that I've had, there's always people talking, like criticizing you.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Looking for ways like to put you down.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just people that are making the same amount of money that I was making, like $12 an hour, $11 an hour. You know.
Yeah.
Not even a lot of money.
No.
But okay, so you already answered. Where did you come from? You said from San Francisco.
Yeah. But I wasn't born there, by the way. I moved to San Francisco when I was 23, and I stayed there until I was 51. And I moved to Slab City when I was 51. So from 23 to 51, I was in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. Except for in the mid-90s, there was 3 years I lived in Japan. I lived in Japan for 3 years, and I lived in South Korea briefly for a little bit.
So what did you do there?
I was working for a interior decorating and remodeling company, and we refurbished the interior of hotels. So I worked for a company out of San Jose, California that flew me to Tokyo and put me up in a hotel. I ran a crew. I didn't run the crew at first. I was just part of the crew. But eventually, after about a year, I became the supervisor.
So you were living the American dream.
Yeah, in Japan. I was living the Japanese dream, which is more fun than the American dream
for
an American.
but you said that San Francisco company is the one that sent you over there. Right?
A company in San Jose, California. I got hired by a company out of San Jose.
Which was an American company.
Which was an American company, yes. It was an American company who had contracts in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were living you were living pretty good.
Yes. I have always for some reason got very lucky with employment. And it's always to be brutally honest, it's not my skills, it's who I know. It's like I meet these people and I have conversations with them, and the next thing you know, I got a cushy job. Like I never managed an apartment building before in my life. I had a conversation with a guy. He goes, I think you can manage this building. I'll give you 30 days. See if you can hold it together and collect the rent. That's how I got into property management. I met another guy, had a conversation with him about how traveling and and I was always been interested in Japan. And this guy goes, "Hey, I know a company." Da 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 da. Next thing I know, this guy's giving me a call, and I'm in Japan. I'm living in Japan.
You're making good money. You were making
very good money. Very good money. And no, again, it was a no rent situation because I lived in the hotels that I was refurbishing.
Okay.
So I had free rent, free electricity, cable TV, you know, everything you get in a hotel, right? Plus maid service, fresh towels every day. I got a salary and a per diem, which wasn't taxed. So I got 2 checks every Friday. I was an American man living in Japan. I was a heterosexual male, very much into women. So I was in heaven because the Japanese girls, I was it's like a rock star to them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like all this women and this money, and I'm in a country where I can't read any signs. I can't speak. After 2 years there, I started speaking Japanese. I did learn Japanese eventually because, you know, after 3 years there, you better start talking to people. But yeah, I had a wild time. But yeah, I came back.
Did you do any drugs over there in Japan?
Mushrooms.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how I came across those was I picked them myself. I was down in an island chain called the Okinawa Islands in the South China Sea, south of it's Japan. Japan claims the islands the way we claim Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Hawaii is actually America, but if you were from Japan and you flew to Hawaii and that was your version of America, that's really not America, right? That's Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we claim, well, Japan is the same way. The Okinawa Islands, the Okinawan people are their own people. They have their own culture, but Japan is part of Japan. So I'm in these island chains, and I'm on the main island, and I'm in a bar, again, having a conversation with someone, sitting in a bar, talking to a Japanese guy about LSD and hallucinogens, and he says, "Do you like mushrooms?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I like mushrooms." He said, "Let's go." So I got in the car with him, and we drove 40-something miles up that island. It was 61 miles long and 7 miles wide. We drove almost to the top of the island. I started getting a little nervous because I didn't speak a lot of English, Japanese. He didn't speak a lot of English. And I just kind of met him in a bar. And we're in this jungle, right? We left civilization. We're driving into the forest. And it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I'm kind of getting nervous. And we pull off the road into this little cut. And the bushes are scraping the cars. The side of the car. And I'm thinking, wow, he's going to pull out a samurai sword and cut my head off, right? What have I done, dude? My family don't know where I'm at. Oh my God, I'm done. He turns the car off. He goes, "Okay, let's go." And he opens the door and gets out. I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's get out." And we got a paper bag, and there was these cows, and there was mushrooms growing up on this shit. And they were just, the stems were just streaked, you know, dark blue streaks, and there was these giant caps. And the sun was just starting to get light enough to see them, and we were hurrying. We picked a bunch of them, and the farmhouse was way down. The dogs started barking, and we ran because trespassing in Japan is a bigger offense than in America. As a matter of fact, break any law in Japan, you're going to pay a heavy penalty, not no little. Don't do it again. So we got out of there, and I had all these mushrooms. Yeah, it was great, dude. I ate all these shrooms, and I started walking down the sidewalk, and then there's vending machines everywhere, and I got caught up on this rack of vending machines, staring at them for a few hours, and went into a little punk rock bar, and had all the mushrooms in a bag, and I didn't know what to do with them because they were fresh. I could only eat so many. I think I ate like an ounce, and my stomach was starting to hurt from eating so many shrooms, and they were going to go bad. So I asked the bartender, I just put them on the bar, and I showed them to her, and she snatched them up and gave them to everybody in the bar. So we had a good time in that little bar in Okinawa, Japan, on mushrooms. But yeah, only smoked weed once there. I couldn't find weed. After 2 years there, I found weed, but I couldn't afford it. It was just too expensive. So I never bought weed. But I inadvertently didn't mean to do this, but I took 2 half joints with me to Japan because I didn't check the pockets of my clothes. And I was known for rolling fat joints and just smoking them to myself. I'd smoke about halfway down, put it out, put it in my pocket, forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Move to Japan, pack my clothes, go to Japan, unpack my clothes on a windy day, put on a coat, stick my hands in my pockets, and there's 2 half joints in there. I was like, holy shit. I could have lost my job. I could have lost everything over that. I didn't think to check the pockets of my pants and my coats.
So after Japan, you came back to San Francisco?
Yes, I came back to the Bay Area. I lived in the East Bay for a while with family until I could get my act together. You know, I came back kind of broke and no job.
Okay. So you lost your job over there in Japan.
I quit it.
You quit it.
I quit.
It was too much stress.
It was stress because I worked for a guy who did way too much cocaine.
Wow. Okay.
The owner of the company was just high on coke. So I'd get a call in my hotel room at 4 PM saying, "Wow, Jack, I'm so glad I hired you, man. You're holding that crew together. We're running ahead of schedule. Greatest thing since sliced bread." 6 o'clock next morning, I get a call from the same guy. "Jack, you motherfucker." I'm like, "Dude, you're crashing on coke. What the hell's wrong with you, man?" He was just up and down. You know, he's flying high or he's pissed off. And after 3 years, and even though he was in America and I was in Japan, he could still call me. You know, I tell the desk, don't put his calls through. And they thought that was insane because he's running the company that I work for, and we're in the hotel. And they're there. That's their contract. But I just quit. I actually came back and sued him.
Oh, okay.
And I got a settlement. I settled out of court 3 days before I was suing him for undisclosed amount of money, but it was enough to. I bought a van and moved into it and lived up and down the coast for about 2 years in it.
Okay.
Checking into hotels for showers and stuff for the most part, and eating at Denny's, you know, but living in a van on the California coast when I first came back. And then that ran dry, and I ended up on the couch of my niece. So I lived with my niece for a while too.
Was it the same one that mentioned about you starting a YouTube channel?
No,
that's another one. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I got lots of nieces and nephews.
Okay.
I got 2 older sisters.
Okay.
And they got kids, and their kids have kids. And
oh, so you have a big family?
Yeah, I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, and I have a lot of great nieces and nephews. I'm a great uncle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what are your political beliefs? I seen your sign. I could imagine what your political beliefs are.
My political beliefs are, I am a constitutionalist. I believe the Constitution to the letter, you know? And as far as political parties go, well, they're both screwed. I think they're both wings of the same bird.
Yeah.
Overall, you know? Well, they run their mouths, but at the end of the day, it's the same game. I believe in basic freedom rights. You know, every human being has a right to be free. We don't. I don't think the federal government. My political beliefs in this, as far as our country is set up, is our federal government has grown too big, and they're in our lives way too much, and they need to back the fuck up. They were never meant to be that powerful. They were supposed to just hold the states together, like an umbrella over us, and the states used to have a lot more rights than they do. Well, let's take marijuana in California. 1995, California voters say, "Hey, we want legal medical marijuana." The people voted for it. It passed. We got our legal marijuana. What happened? Washington, D.C. sends the federal government in, starts raiding these clubs, starts raiding patients, starts raiding doctors' offices, and just, "Hey, man, we voted for this. Leave us alone. You're in Washington, D.C. We're in California doing our own thing, you know?" It's just things like that. It bugs me, right? Just leave us alone. And bureaucrats, people we don't know. We didn't elect these people. We don't even know their names. They're making decisions that affect our lives. Who the fuck are these people? Who's running Joe Biden? Nobody can convince me that Joe Biden is running anything. I don't even think that guy knows where he is half the time. Honestly, I'm not even making a joke. It's kind of scary because there's somebody behind him making the decisions. Do you know who it is? I don't.
No, I don't.
I've asked everybody. Who's making the decisions right now? Who's calling the shots? Every time you hear Joe Biden talk, is, "Well, I'm not supposed to answer questions. Well, I'm supposed to stand here. Oh, they told me to say this." Who the fuck is they? Who the fuck is they? Weird. It's just like a movie we're watching. It's not even real, dude. It's not even real. It's like, fuck, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Don't even get me started on what's going on. It's the times are crazy. I'm glad I'm here, right? With all the madness, that I've seen in the last 2 years on the news in all these cities, if I didn't have the internet, I would think life was just fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got birds chirping in the trees. There ain't no BLM burning and roasting. There ain't no Antifa. There ain't none of that crap going on. There's none of this stuff going on that's going on out there. There's no looting. There's those people, mobs running around. It's peaceful and quiet here. So I'm so glad I'm here. But with all that craziness, and then this like fake presidency we got going, it's really, really bizarre times. It's really bizarre, and I don't think it's over. I think 2022 is just gonna be even stranger. Right?
Do you think that Trump is gonna run for presidency again?
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah. I'm expecting the 2022 election to most of the Democrats get wiped out, and most of those rhinos, those.
You think it's gonna be Kamala Harris on the Democratic side?
No, she's going nowhere. She's gonna crash. She's already crashing and burning. She had no business being vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, she's horrible.
So who do you think is gonna be running from the Democrats?
Against Trump?
From the Democrats.
I couldn't even imagine.
Oprah Winfrey.
No, I don't think there's nobody.
Yeah.
I don't think they can get an actor. And I think that's another thing. I think the biggest mistake would be them to go get a celebrity like Oprah, or even Michelle Obama or Michael Obama, whatever you want to call them. I think that would be a mistake. Because no one right now wants to listen to celebrities. We don't want to hear what actors and actresses and famous people have to say about what's going on, because they fucking don't know. They don't live our life. They're not even close to living our life. So I would not want to hear any kind of advice from them. I wouldn't want any celebrity running the country.
So what do you think about Joe Biden being interviewed by Cardi B?
It was a joke. That was a joke. The whole thing was a joke.
But you know why they did that, right? Because Cardi B has a huge following.
That's what I was thinking. She probably has a Twitter account with a couple million people, you know? And, yeah, you know, like, well, that's the Democratic game, right? Go after the black vote every 4 years. Hey, man, the Republicans are going to take your welfare. The Republicans are going to strip you of this. They're going to. You need to vote for us. You got to vote for us because we're going to protect you. Then they get the black vote, and then what do? They don't do shit. They don't. They turn their backs on the black people, and they just let it go until 4 more years when they got to get reelected again. Hey, man, well, what the crazy thing? What, you know, Joe Biden. You ain't black if you don't vote for me? What kind of shit is that, dude? I imagine that pissed off more people than anyone knows. I imagine that really just frosted people when he said that. What an idiot. You know? And now you can see through it, right? Before, people used to be fooled, right? People's not fooled anymore.
Well,
No one's fooled. No one's fooled.
I think that a lot of people are still fooled. I mean,
I think there is a lot fooled, but there's a lot more that are awake that maybe
before
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Even just like 3 or 4 years ago, I think there's people now that are way more awake. I personally know people that used to think mine was just conspiracy, right? Everything I say was just crazy talk, and now they're saying, no, Jack, you make sense now. I think you're right. I think that is the way the world is.
One of the things that I find offensive as a Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Minority.
Yeah.
Is when politicians pander, like for example, they change the way that they speak.
Dude.
You know, like,
yeah.
I don't know if you've heard the clip of AOC, like changing
yes,
the
yes.
I was all like, man, that's
bad.
The way that I see, I mean, it's
offensive, huh?
It is.
It's very offensive. I would feel the same way. That's nuts. AOC needs to go back to bartending. She has no business having any kind of power. What a crazy woman.
Hillary Clinton has done the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they all do. Oh, Hillary Clinton. She anytime that interview where she's on that black radio station with that
with the
black
hot
DJ.
sauce.
I always carry hot sauce around. You know what I said? I always carry hot sauce in my purse. I said, open up your purse and pull out that hot sauce. Let me see that jar of hot sauce.
Yeah.
You lying bitch.
I mean, so why? Because I've seen that clip.
Yeah.
And why didn't the radio host ask her that.
That's right. Why didn't he? That's the good question.
I think
It's a part of the game.
Right.
It's all part of the game. That radio host.
He's not really. I don't really think he cares about.
He doesn't really care, but also his employer is tied to the same people.
Right.
The Clintons are. You know, they're all tied in. So you're in any kind of entertainment business. You play that game because, they'll get rid of you and put someone else in your place.
I've heard the same radio host say that it's good to bring racism into the narrative because it's good, it's entertaining. I've heard him say that, and I don't know. I mean, it sounds like he was. He mentioned it to another, like he was in a podcast. Yeah. And they were talking about.
It gets ratings, right?
Right, and he mentioned that bring they were talking about a certain topic, right? And then he mentioned and then you bring racism into it because it's good television.
It is. It's great television. I don't think there's as many racists as the media makes it out. I don't think this is a racist country.
Yeah, I
really don't think so. Yes, there's some racist assholes everywhere. I lived in Japan, right? I was gaijin. I didn't feel the racism at first. My girlfriend had to explain it to me. I didn't understand until after she explained it to me. And I'm on the train, and as the seats fill up, no one sits next to me. Everybody stands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And nobody
there's racism everywhere.
And nobody talks about that. They just focus on here in the United States at least.
Yeah.
It's just a white and black situation.
It's just a white and black situation.
Right.
And here it is. It's a game to divide us.
Yeah.
They want us divided. As long as we're fighting each other, we aren't paying attention to what they're doing. They're fucking us both over. They got us. They want to pit minorities. They want to pit whites. They want to pit everybody against each other. Look, they're racist. Be afraid of these people. And these people are bad. Be afraid of these people. But don't pay too much attention to what we're doing over here. Right?
Exactly.
We're slowly taking power away from the people, slowly taking it away from you. And once we confiscate all the power, by the time we start fighting with each other and we turn around and look at them, it might be too late. We need to stop this. Everybody needs to turn off their news. Stop listening to these alphabet letter news channels, all of them. They're all screwed.
They're designed to make us think a certain way.
It's all about fear. It's consistently fear. You got to be afraid of something.
The job of the news of the mainstream news is not to educate us.
No, it's keep us fearful, and it's ratings. It's infotainment. It's not even real information.
Right. So let's see here. What's the next question? So, what is the shower box?
What is the shower box? Ah, yes, the shower box is a cistern. It's a concrete, kind of like a box in the ground with a pipe, and here's why it exists. The hot springs used to not be there. From my understanding is the military was drilling for water there and hit the hot springs, and that water is useless, right? That's hot, heavy minerals. Apparently they tried to cap it.
It's not healthy water. I mean,
I'm not sure exactly.
A lot of people have that. A lot of people have the idea of like it being a fountain of youth or something.
People tell me it's therapeutic, but does that look therapeutic to you?
No.
It doesn't smell therapeutic. Not at all. So the hot springs. So the military drills this hole. Okay. This water starts coming up. I guess they try to cap it, right? And it doesn't work. So what does water do? It flows to the lowest point. So now the military's got a problem. I imagine that hot springs water was flowing straight into Nylon at first. Okay. So they had to put that cistern in the ground to catch that water, and they divert it, and I have no idea where it goes. So what happens is the hot springs bubbles up, and there's a little stream that wanders around, and then it dumps into that cistern. And then from there it goes under the ground. I'm not sure where it goes. But it's by the time the water from the hot springs gets to the shower box, it's clean. Because there's all that vegetation that grew because of the water. So there's all those cattails.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it filters the water naturally.
Yeah.
And so by the time it pours out into that cistern, it's really clean water. It's got a powerful flow. So you can take a shower there. You can do your laundry there. You can put your laundry in a mesh bag, put some laundry soap in it, and hold it under there, and it will pound the dirt right out of your clothes. But it's refreshing in the summertime. To and from Nylon store trips, it's good to stop there and crawl down in there.
Okay. So let's see. Next question. Tell me about sand and tweakers in Slab City. If it's a video you posted.
Yes. It's one of my jokes is I tell people that Slab City has two things in abundance. That's sand and tweakers, and I don't mind the sand so much. Honestly, dude, there's tweakers everywhere where you go. You know, there's meth everywhere. You're not gonna get away from it. And most of these people out here do meth. They keep to their own selves and they do their own things. There's only a handful that cause problems. And,
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that was funny when I told my friend that there's two things that Slab City has a lot of.
Okay. Let's see here. So, next question. What is the dating scene in Slab City? That's another video you made.
Yes, that's a city video I just made recently, maybe a month ago, called "The Dating Scene in Slab City," because it's changed. It's a lot different now than it was back then. I explained this all in my video, but when I first moved here, there wasn't a lot of women. There wasn't a lot of females. It was like 1 to every 15. 1 woman to every 15 men. So the joke was, in Slab City, you don't lose your girlfriend, you just lose your turn, right?
Okay.
Which was true. I'll tell you right now, it was true, a true statement. But over the years, Slab City's grown. More people have moved here, and more of a mix of people, younger and older, gay and straight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a wide variety of people here. There's more of a social scene, you know, so you can find someone you're interested in versus before. With me, my personal experience was there was no women here in Slab City for me at all, and I had to rely on the traveling hippie girls that would drift in here, mostly after coming from the trim farms, you know.
Okay.
And they would stay with me, and I made a few relationships. Some were just platonic, some were sexual, but they came back to my camp every year. So I started putting guest trailers in. So I had 2 guest trailers for them. So, and that was my dating scene, was I only dated in the winter. In the summer, I was completely by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how has Slab City changed since you first got here?
Gentrified. It's as soft as a marshmallow now. I'm half joking. It was more Wild West when I got here. Fewer people, more rugged people. You had to rely on yourself. There was no one feeding you food. There was no bars to go to. You know, there was none of that.
Oh, like the Ponderosa, the Red Rum.
None of that existed. There was nothing like that. There was the range.
What about the Rabbit Hole?
That didn't exist.
The Handlebar?
That didn't exist. That was when I moved here. That was Justin Bark Skate Park. By the way, Bark. Interview that guy. Justin Bark. That's a future interview for you.
Okay, and where could I find him?
I have no idea.
That's going to be a problem.
You have to ask around.
Okay.
He's out there, though.
Well, okay.
But yeah, there was no handlebar. He ran the skate park back when I moved here.
What was his name again?
Bark.
Justin Bark.
Because he
okay.
barked at you like a dog.
Okay.
So that was, everybody gets a nickname out here, you know?
Okay,
And
yeah.
that's his nickname.
I've noticed that. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was nothing. So all these bars.
This all popped up within the last 4 years.
Wow, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, there was nothing like that. We had the range, and then we had
Okay.
the internet cafe. And Frank built that. But that's gone now. That's the Red Room now. I heard.
The Internet Cafe?
I heard that's now the Red Room, where the Red Room is. See, I don't get out in Slab.
No,
so I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Okay, so the internet cafe is still the internet cafe?
Yeah, I think so.
They still have internet?
Yeah.
And coffee?
That's what I've been told. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
Okay. Marty, get back. Get back, Marty. My dog's gonna try to knock over.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so okay. So now to the questions that people posted here.
Be good,
Do
Marty.
you play any instruments?
Do I play any instruments now? Just harmonica. I played bass guitar for a few years, but I sold my equipment a few years before I moved to Slab City because it was just sitting in the corner. I never was in a band. That was just something I did for
Like
myself.
a hobby? You like a hobby?
It was more of a hobby, yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. Johnny Hash Brown says, yes, I have a question for Jack. How do you stay cool in the summer? Any particular tips? Are there any chess players in Slab City? What is your favorite part of Slab City? I mean, what about Slab City you like the most?
Woo, that was a lot of questions. Okay, how do I stay cool in the summer? So my first few summers here, I had a small 150 watt solar power system, 2 batteries, so I'm not running AC, right? A couple 12 volt fans and a spray bottle. I graduated to more solar, more batteries, where I could run a bigger fans, and eventually to what I got now is I have 2,000 watts of power, I have enough battery storage, and I run an AC. And what I do is I seal off the bedroom of this RV, and I have extra insulation, this stuff on the walls, and I have a window mount AC. And I have enough power to run my air conditioner for 9 hours a day. And I stay cool. I go into my little space capsule back there, and I take my internet and my dogs and my cats and the neighbor's dogs, and we all pile in my AC. So I'm fortunate that I have air conditioning. It's a luxury out here. Most people that live here do not have air conditioning.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, I didn't get the rest of them. What was the rest of his questions? He had a few, huh?
Well, he said any particular tips, but I think
that was it. Oh, okay. If you don't have AC, shade over shade. So say you come out here and you got a trailer, RV, or van. Say you got a van, right? Park your van, build a carport over it, put a top over it, then go 2 feet up and put a top over that. Now once you do that, you create thermal mass.
Oh, wow, okay.
So when the sun hits the top roof, it'll heat up the space in between, and underneath you'll be cooler. Marty, sit down. He'll lay down. Stay down, Marty.
He was looking at me right now, like.
Yeah, my dog's annoying.
That's like he was just staring at me, like.
Yeah, he wants attention. he can't get enough attention. Everybody has to pet him.
Let's see here. So, are there any chess players in Slab City?
I do not know that, if there are or not. When I first moved here, there was actually a camp who had chessboards, checkerboards, badminton, and dominoes. And there was some old timers that would sit around and play, but that was way back in 2012. So I don't know if there's any chess players or not. I haven't played chess in 25 years, but I imagine after about 10 games, I could be a challenge for you. I'm sure you'd beat me really quick because I haven't played chess in a while. I love that game. You know, you gotta think 5-6 moves ahead. I like that.
Okay, so what is your favorite part of Slab City?
My favorite part of Slab City is the sunrises and the sunsets. Oh, and the fact that I can do whatever I want in my own camp. Like if I want to build something, I can build something. I don't need a permit or a code. You know, if I just want to hang out and smoke weed all day and watch TV, I could do that. I can do whatever I want. I like being in Slab City because I can do whatever I want at any time I want, and I don't have to answer to anyone. Okay.
Scotty Rush says, I met Jack last week. Cool guy.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I think, yeah. He had a van and a dog. Yeah, he came through.
Yeah.
Traveling around.
I got a couple of questions for him. What's his most profound psychedelic experience? And what is the meaning of life?
The most profound LSD tripping hallucinating experience, that was going to take me some time to come up with the most profound. I could tell you the most intense. The most intense one was here in Slab City. I got a hold of a sugar cube from the Bay Area that was delivered to me that had about 4 or 5 drops of real LSD 25. Not this fake acid these kids talk about, this research shit. I'm talking about the real McCoy. And that was intense. I can't explain the sand and the sky out here at night. I can't even really get into how everything looked and moved around, but it was super, super intense. Maybe not profound. My most profound one, I'd have to go back through, as I've done a lot of hallucinogens in my life. You know.
Okay. And then, what is the meaning of life?
Woo! That's something. not one human being can answer. If anybody ever tells you they got the meaning of life, it's just they're just guessing. We're all crawling around on this planet in darkness. None of us know what's going on. None of us know why we're here. I can probably tell you what I think is going on. I couldn't tell you the meaning of it, but I think that there's quite a strong possibility that we don't exist. We don't exist. This doesn't exist. Space, the planet, none of this exists. That we're some kind of a simulation, maybe a thought from some kind of a mind. I'm not sure if any of it's 100% real, right?
Okay.
As far as why we're going through, I would really like to know that myself.
Okay. Crizzle says, what's his relationship like with Waterboy?
Waterboy. Yeah, buddy. Waterboy is a good friend of mine. I'll tell you right now. Waterboy has done a couple favors for me in the past that I was greatly appreciated for. And I've done a couple favors for Waterboy. We do each other favors. We don't really kick it or hang out, but we're friends. If I got a problem out here, I can call Waterboy, you know. And if he ever has any, if he needs anything, if Waterboy ever needs anything, of any type of anything, he can always come to me. I'll help him out or try to get it for him. And I like Waterboy. I mean, some people are afraid of the guy.
I actually did an interview with him.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. I seen it. I haven't clicked on it yet.
Yeah. He was on his quad.
Yeah.
So when he seen me, like, he just pulled up and took off, and he told me to follow him. I was like, where's this guy taking me? So he took me all the way to the back, and we did the interview over there.
Yeah.
I was all like, well, it was an interesting situation because he just took off super fast. Yeah, extremely fast.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Wildflower says, is he ever going to leave Slab City?
No. I can't. For one thing, I can't go back to that shithole that's San Francisco. I left Slab City only a couple times in the 10 years I've been here. I went to San Diego once or twice for a couple hours, and I went to LA for the first time in my life back in 2015 for about 8 hours, and I lost my mind. Also, I damn near got arrested because apparently everything I do here is illegal out there, right? So I'm best to stay here. I don't want to leave this place because, like I said, as long as I don't have to answer anybody, if I want to paint my house purple, I can, you know, and I do what I want here. I can't do what I want anywhere else. Real freedom, by the way. You want to talk about American freedom? Slab City's freedom.
So, do you think Slab City is the embodiment of the American ideals?
Well, you know, this Slab City is the American dream or the American nightmare. It all depends on your perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Let's see. Brittany Goddess. This is gonna be the last one.
Okay.
Why Slab City? Does he consider this way of life spiritual, or what's the meaning behind his living?
There is a spiritual aspect to all this, believe it or not. This is a wasteland. I'm in the desert. It's hot. You know, there's critters out here that want to bite you and hurt you. It is spiritual. At night, there's no lighting, right? I don't have light pollution, so I get the Milky Way over my head. And I walk around on the sand. I rarely wear shoes, so I feel the earth underneath my feet, where most people have rubber soles and they're walking on concrete, right? Mm-hmm. That was my life before here. I had rubber soles on my feet and I was disconnected from the planet. Here I walk around barefoot. Sometimes I think I should make some shoes with magnets on the bottom to connect to the magnetic core of the planet, maybe be more grounded. I don't know if that would work.
But I mean, I don't think you could take psychedelics and at the same time wear magnets to be more grounded. on
I
your,
don't
your
think
feet.
so.
I don't think that isn't that like a contradiction.
It is kind of, the reason I'm thinking about that is they recently found a pair of shoes,
Yeah.
2,500 years old, that had magnets in the soles. Isn't that wild? I seen a picture of them. They were moccasins, and they had magnets sold into the bottoms of the soles.
That's interesting.
I just found that out recently. That's why I was wondering if they wore. I didn't look into it. I was just thinking. Well, we got a magnetic core, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's got magnets on his feet. Why is that?
Where'd you see this? These shoes
I found it on the internet, and there was a story. But I found they had found recently some.
Was it legit? Like was it?
It was legit.
Legitimate
There was
story?
preserved. They're speculating that the moccasins are over 2,000 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your religious beliefs?
My religious beliefs is I do believe that there's a high probability that there is a creator. I believe there is good and evil. There's evidence of that, right?
Yeah.
There's good and evil.
Well, I
out
think
there.
that's obvious.
So yeah, I think there's obvious that this is by design. This ain't no accident.
Yeah.
So if it's by design, someone had to create it. There has something, some person, some entity, some brain, something somewhere created this.
So you don't believe that we just came out of?
I don't believe in just by happenstance, just the Big Bang, the snap, the planet just happened to be that far from the sun, the moon just happened to be where it is to cause the tides, to cause the creatures to come up out. No, because there's a big missing chunk of that. And in our DNA, they even call them alien genes. They don't mean alien as in outer space alien. It's just they're foreign genes that are unknown to us. Like there's 27 genes in our bodies that they can't account for. Right. So there's a possibility that it could be both. Evolution could be real, right? Say there was some prototype human, something before us, but similar to us walking around. And say some intelligent beings found this place and maybe mixed their DNA with the DNA of this creature and maybe created us. Maybe our creator is just another more advanced being, and but someone had to create them, right? Someone had to create them. So whether we were created by some almighty God or whether some almighty God created everything and then something came along and manipulated life and created, I don't know. Because look what we're doing. We're manipulating life, all the cloning experiments and the genetic manipulation. So maybe a civilization a million years more advanced than us would be way more advanced in genetic cloning. And
so what do you think about the Bible?
Probably some truth based in the stories, but like all of those stories, they were oral. They were passed down orally, and before they were ever written down. And I think the hands that wrote the Bible weren't there to really witness any of it. And if I witnessed something incredible, well, let's just say I had a UFO encounter with an alien, right? And it was a profound thing, and I told you, and I told a bunch of people. And then you guys went out and you told my story. And then that got told, and that got told. And 1,000 years from now, my story's still being told. Do you think it would be my words? Do you think it'd be exactly what I went through? It'd be morphed and changed. People would add and subtract from the story over time. So I think the Bible probably has a ring of truth overall. Whether it's word for fucking word, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, didn't Moses write Exodus, or who wrote the book of it? I think Moses wrote the book of
Exodus. I believe so.
And well, I mean, he was up in the mountain.
He was there. So he was in the mountain. But again, they could be explaining technological things in a non-technological manner. Yeah. So the burning bush could have had a light in it. They wouldn't have known that. Well, Ezekiel's wheel. That's the most fascinating Bible story, right? That guy had a UFO encounter. He didn't call it UFO. He didn't call the guy an alien. He called it a living being. He called it a wheel in the sky with eyes all the way around. You ever thought that might have been portholes, right? And his whole encounter, Ezekiel's Bible story is very grounded, matter of fact, like a journal diary entry. Where other viral stories is like a dream or a vision. Ezekiel is telling you, this is the day of the week. This is the time of the day. I was walking on this road in this direction, and this is what happened to me. I seen this. It was daytime. and he just gives so much details. When he's detailing the living being, alien, had this device next to him. He called it a box. And he was just, and again, non-technological terms, he was describing how the box could move in any direction because it had a wheel inside of a wheel. Well, that's a caster, which is on most office chairs. So you can spin your office chair in any direction, right? How about the Bible story when, now, I don't know it for word, but Jesus shows up to a group of people and this guy just died, right? What happened to this guy? He just dropped dead.
Are we talking about Lazarus?
When he laid his hands
Yeah.
on his chest and breathed life into him?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought that was CPR? Laying the hands on the chest, breathing life into him?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have called it CPR back then.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're pushing on someone's chest, if you're breathing life into them, then you got your mouth over theirs and you're breathing into them. And if you got your hands on your chest, well, Jesus is performing CPR on that man. He brought him back from the dead, for damn right he did. Where did Jesus get that knowledge, huh? Jesus is an interesting guy, right? Hung out, had sex with prostitutes, hung out with thieves, was a threat to the government. At the end of the day, they didn't like what he was saying. They didn't like his ideas. People were starting to listen to him, right?
Well, I mean, the belief is the idea is that Jesus he never committed sin.
He never committed sin, but he hung out with sinners. Yeah, that's true. He never committed sin. But when I was younger, like a teenager, and I was trying to understand the Bible,
I think that idea,
I took it as, if you're hanging out with prostitutes, but you're not having sex with them, I guess you could be trying to just talk to them.
Well, I mean, it's
he was a man.
But it's he's not a regular individual.
He was not a regular individual, no.
Right.
But he was flesh and blood. Like, you could grab hold of him, right? He was real.
Yeah.
He actually existed. So he was a real person. He wasn't like a figment of anybody's imagination.
I remember, I think, was it that book, The Da Vinci Code, that's mentioned that?
Never read that, never seen the movie.
I think that's what the whole idea of Jesus having, having an affair with, what's that, I forgot her name. But I think that idea, whenever I first heard that idea of Jesus having, cohabiting with, females, I think it was from that book.
From that book.
Yeah, but I don't believe that.
I don't know anything much about that, and I'm not really well versed on the Bible. I just know basic outlines of the stories, and I've read the only parts of the Bible I read, believe it or not,